Hi, everyone. This is Rico Figliolini, host of Peachtree Corners Life, and today's Prime Lunchtime with City Manager. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Rico, good. How are you?
Great. It's good to have you on.
Thank you.
Um, this particular episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about the new purchase that's finally closed this past Friday with the forum on Peachtree Parkway. And Brian's going to help us out with some detail on that. The new owners, North American Properties, has taken it over. They are a company that is well known for working with Avalon and Atlantic Station. They run and own those areas as well as others. So they found obviously an opportunity here that they believe they can take and invest in and actually grow the forum into a great product and a great place for us because, right, a great space for us to live in, if you will. Um, so we're going to talk a little bit about that and a little bit about progress on the playground that's going on, being built across the way at Town Center, and just a couple of other things. But otherwise, we're here to, well, let's start off with the forum purchase. Brian, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on there now? What's the latest?
Well, like you said, North American Properties closed on the property this past Friday. Their interest in the forum is kind of in line with what they've done in some other properties of late. Instead of being involved in brand new mixed use developments, that they've liked to find properties that are maybe in great areas, and ones that maybe they feel like from an ownership and management company they can improve the property a little bit by investing in it and then operating it instead of spinning it off to have somebody else operate it.
Right.
And so they've done that in a couple of locations already, and they think that the forum is right for that. Not only are they excited about the community that is around the forum, the traffic count that's near the forum, the
Mhm.
history and the name that it has, but it has good bones. And they also like the fact that the city understands the importance of it. It is essentially one half of what is our downtown now. And
Right.
when you have a municipality who's invested in a property within its corporate limits, then developers like that because that means that we're more inclined to do what it takes to ensure that this thing is a success. And we know that the forum's a critical part in its success is the city's success. It helps generate a lot of revenue that we in turn can use to provide services back to our stakeholders, whether it be streets or you know multi-use paths or even keeping a zero millage rate. So
Mm.
really important, and we are excited about working with the North American Properties to kind of take the property and take it to the next level. And
Right.
so we're rolling up our sleeves, getting ready to get that started.
Cool. Sorry about that chicken walking by. That's his name, by the way.
Oh, is it okay?
Yes. Whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, getting back to the forum and the purchase here. We've been talking about this for a while now, obviously, hoping that new owners would take it over because the REIT running it and having a secondary, company managing it is not quite the same as having an
Right.
owner manager. And so part of what we talked about also is that a place like this could have some density um, being worked on as far as adding density to it. Um, maybe we can talk a little bit about that as far as what, you know, what the city's willing to do there. We talked a little bit, I think, at one point about parking deck and such being part of it and allowing for space uh, for other things to happen, for green space and stuff.
Well, you're kind of what you're referring to. I can kind of go back to the previous owner, if you will, and that is the previous owner. When they reached out to the city to notify us that they were putting the forum on the market, the reason that they were doing so, as articulated to us, was the fact that the forum was a property that joined a number of other properties that they were selling that had a common theme, and they were unloading all of their properties that did not have on-site uh, residential
Hmm.
or on-site public gathering space. And so the forum had neither of those, or has neither of those. So the previous owner put it up along with other, properties that met that description in their portfolio. They put them up for sale. North American Properties, has articulated to us that, one of the things they want to do, and they are in a position to do because they are not only the owners, but they are going to operate it as well, which is oftentimes not the case. Many times the owners don't operate it. They merely then, contract with a property management company, and then that company manages it and manages the leases and operates it.
Right.
North American's going to do both, which was very exciting to the city because we knew that North American Properties would invest in the property in a way that maybe results in temporarily lease revenue to be negatively impacted due to construction or other things, but they were okay with doing it because they were going to operate it as well. So they have expressed an interest in installing, if you will, on-site residential and on-site green space. So the city will obviously have to be to some degree or other involved in both. We do know that if there is green space that's going to have to be added, then the only place to add it on the foreign property is by removing parking spaces.
Right.
So the city may end up having to be involved in that to help them, be able to construct green space, because that means parking is going to have to be moved elsewhere. So that may involve structured parking, maybe not too dissimilar to what we did with the town center and
Hmm.
Fuquay, which was the partner over there. So that may end up being part of this, and then obviously residential on site is going to have some rezoning component.
Yeah.
The details of that are not, have not been presented or discussed or considered. So I don't honestly know any more than that, other than
Right. Right.
they are interested in putting on-site residential in some capacity on the property. And,
I could.
all the evidence to healthy mixed-use developments such as the Forum all point to needing on-site residential and public gathering space are part of the ingredients for successful mixed-use development. So it's not surprising to us.
Yeah.
But again, the devil's in the details, and that's what our sleeves are rolled up and
Right.
ready to dig into.
Yeah. And I understand you guys are probably meeting as we speak. You'll be meeting sometime this week, I think, on this. And I guess I can speculate a little bit from my own end that residential is certainly a strong component of what's going to happen there over the next 18 months or so, because it needs it, right? Like any multi-use, and if we look at the past history of what they've done, Atlantic Station, Avalon, and such, residential is a big component of that. So certainly, I think I can imagine that there could be probably north of 150 to 200 units coming right there at the Forum in some capacity, in some area that they set up there, which, you know, live, work, and play. I mean, you could be working there, living, and certainly Technology Park. And I think as one company put it, we are a 15-minute city. And in their eyes, because of where they're located, you could walk anywhere in 15 minutes and get what you need, which is an interesting description of what we are, being a 15-minute city that way. Because, you know, our downtown area, anywhere within this area, whether you be, let's say, Spalding Drive near Intuitive Robotics, or if you're at another, you know, City Hall, maybe 15-minute walk will get you to shopping, to food, to entertainment to a
Yeah.
degree. So interesting concept in being a 15-minute city that's not Atlanta, that's
Right.
outside Atlanta. So kind of interesting. Plus, we have that residential property across the way still that was rezoned apartments. It was what's called the old Roberts property, um, and that that was sunset. So that reverted back to its original rezoning, which was not residential. Uh, but there's another component, and people are looking there, and I wouldn't be surprised if North American Properties is looking at that property as well. Right? I think that would have been about 260 odd units plus a hotel with the 100 plus rooms. Um,
Well,
yeah,
Rico, I mean, not only that parcel, which is again right there by Lazy Dog behind the old Black Walnut,
that's right.
Georgia Clinic right there.
Hmm.
But, there's still, even some other parcels that are kind of, right near there. And really, to be honest with you, anywhere in the city, especially the north of, say, Jimmy Carter, Holcomb Bridge, really north of the split here,
Right.
we're under an immense amount of pressure from developers wanting to build residential units.
Yeah.
And I say that, by saying in general, we are, but meaning all different types. But
Hmm.
you right now, based on a number of factors, whether it's financing or interest, demand, they tend to be heavy on the rental versus the equity component.
Right.
And usually that's because, we are getting pretty close to not having a lot of undeveloped parcels left, which means that as
Yeah.
we grow, we're going to have to grow up, as up as in vertical.
Sure.
And, when you do that, generally that is much harder to finance when it's equity, which we typically
Hmm.
call a condo. And
Right.
condos require about 50% or more of the units to be pre-sold before you can get the financing. And so it makes it harder on developers, so they're less interested. But that
Hmm.
puts pressure on the city of trying to make sure that we're thinking through growth. And right now, there's a lot of discussions about how are we managing it, because with virtual workplace now, a lot of people can go back to the suburbs, if you will.
Right.
Don't have to, you could work at a company that's located in Midtown, but if they're maybe in the future not going to make you come in at all, or maybe only 1 or 2 days a week,
Hmm.
people are like, you know what, I can handle an hour commute each way if I only have to do it 1 or 2 day a week. But the rest of my time, I can be out farther away from Midtown, get more
Yeah.
house, more yard, for my money. And so there's a resurgence of people interested in coming here, in addition to just Metro Atlanta growing and the
Hmm.
housing market being like ridiculous right now. So
Oh yeah.
it is a lot of change. We got a lot of
Yeah.
challenges right now on
Yeah.
figuring out the best way to manage growth.
Yeah. Especially like you mentioned, the housing stock is unbelievable because I mean, even I mean, I see it every day. I mean, in our neighborhood, a house went up for sale. Within 3 weeks, it was bought, and it was bought at a premium above what they were asking by like 10 or 20,000. Just one family home on a slab, right? No basement or anything. Uh, it does not stay in the market long in this area. Um, so you're right. I mean, and I mean, I could see the pressure because we have another multi-use or M1 that wants to become a multi-use development that is applying that's went through the planning commission. It presented itself in front of city council, but it's been tabled to June, and um, and that is about 315 units that they would like to develop, plus a five-story hotel, and on top of that, it's on Peachtree Parkway also. So not too far from another one that was recently approved, and across from corner Fine Wine, I think is where it
Yep.
is. So, yeah, I can see the pressure coming. Doing that.
But it is important to note though that mayor and council recognize that pressure is coming, and I think that there are certain instances. And by the way, that's pretty cool. I mean,
What, my cat?
you've got somebody who's jealous of you being on camera so much. That's pretty
This is
cool.
the first time he's done that. It just like it kills me.
Well, you see some of the virtual meetings. I've seen memes or videos about people trying to have, these kind of virtual, interactions, and a
Yes,
pet, mostly cats, because they jump up on
yes,
it. They're just insistent, but it's pretty cool. I mean,
yes.
it's like, look, I mean, you get all this camera time. Why do you keep putting me down? I want to get on
Yeah,
this.
and for people that don't know, we record this live from beginning to end. So any mistakes, anything that happens, it is live, less production work on our end, on the end, and it's genuine. So
Yeah,
it's all good, right?
but that
I
is
think,
cool though. That that's look. I got a dog and a cat, and if I'm at home and they want
yeah,
something, they are insistent on being
yes,
there. So I hear you. But
yeah,
anyway, what I was saying is council understands that, and they're
hmm,
being much more comprehensive and methodical in their thinking about it than they've ever been forced to do.
yeah,
So I wanted
yeah,
everybody to know that they're not taking it lightly. There are some
hmm,
very comprehensive conversations going on right now amongst them on essentially what do they with this pressure, what do they want Peachtree Corners to look like when it grows up?
yeah,
Meaning
for sure.
we are sitting here in a location that you could probably represent is at a place where people who are moving to Atlanta, and there are more people moving here than moving away. We're growing
Yeah,
as a region. So, as those who choose to drive north out of, say, the airport, and they're looking at places to put down roots, we're getting many of them here. The question for council is going to be, do we end up, as they're driving into our city, are we here at the city limits saying, hey, before you decide to keep going north or outside whatever direction they're leaving, hey, let us spend some time telling you what a great community we are because we want you
yeah,
to stay here? Or are we saying keep on going, you know, keep on
mm,
going. If you're wanting to
yeah,
go north to the, further suburbs, keep on
yeah,
going.
yeah,
And if that's the case, that's their, they're the ones who decide, policy. That's fine, but they're kind of going through that right now. And
yeah,
if it is, no, 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 we want them to stay.
hmm,
We want them. Then how is it we grow? Because we don't have a lot of out. We don't have like, we're not like a Forsyth County or that has a lot
correct,
of outward growth.
right, right,
So that's what they're having to kind of determine right now. And
hmm,
it's a new normal that we've never seen. The rate of growth and the pressure on residential development is something we've never seen. So
right.
it's ongoing, it's comprehensive, and I think we're in a good position that it will come out of this very shortly and having a good course of action going forward.
Yeah, I'm sure, you know, I'm sure there will be. I've had some conversations with one or two city council members, and we've had conversations about this as well. What does it mean if yes, do we want to have, the ability to have more residents here versus them going past us and we just become a through place? But also, what does it mean to be a smart city, and what does it mean to allow multi-use development, to be able to set standards in the type of developments that come to this city? Whether it's LED buildings or EV charging stations. What does that mean? How what is the philosophy of doing that? Because eventually, if we're talking about being a smart city, we certainly want to make sure that, in my mind, that we're walking the walk, and that we're looking at urban development in the right way, and not just approving um, something that's going to have a restaurant and maybe one other shop, and we call it a multi-use. So, I think that they hopefully they have that conversation, and they look at that a little better about what it means to be here. I mean, we just recently had, for example, the Israeli Consul General visit us. Um, the mayor, Mike Mason, is on a mayor's summit, remote. That's part of the Smart City conference in Taiwan. I mean, and we're getting a lot of companies here, like Intuitive Robotics and other firms that are coming, because we're part of that Silicon Orchard, right? Um, Silicon Orchard, yeah.
Yeah.
So, right. So, I mean, if we can continue to look at our environment as a good steward, then we have to look at that too, right? How we're going to let these builders develop in a smart way all around, right?
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I couldn't have said it better myself, Rico. I mean, that is exactly what council is doing. In fact, at the council meeting Tuesday, the one policy or the one action item that council was involved in is they did change the pro rata makeup of a mixed use development by requiring a higher percentage of non-residential uses on a mixed use parcel to prevent somebody coming in and having three uses, 95%
right.
of it's residential, 3% something else, and the 2%'s the remaining. And, they're like, that's ridiculous. So yes, I mean, maybe even more to follow on that, but there's definitely those conversations about, all right, what are we going to do to set ourselves apart from others? What are
Mhm.
we going to do to continue to live up to the reputation that we're gaining? I mean, the mayor was asked to speak, and he was actually invited to speak in person there. Did not work out for lots of different reasons,
Mm.
COVID included, but invited to speak there, but on a panel of cities in the world, of mayors from cities like, well, Denver and Atlanta in the US, or
Mhm.
Prague, Czech Republic, or Edmonton, Canada, Taipei, Taiwan. I mean, these are, uh, cities that are, way above our weight class.
Mhm.
We were asked to speak at it because of the things that we're doing. And so, yes, we need that to try to correspond into other conventional development within the city, not just within the technology
Yeah.
ecosystem.
Yeah. Um, to stay on that for a little bit, so the Israeli Consul General did visit us. Um, we have several, I think, Israeli firms working out of here as well, Curiosity Lab and stuff. Anything new that you want to share with what's going on there? And I know there's quite a bit, but if we can get a quick description of what's going on, that would be great.
Well, the Israeli consul general came up here because we do have a special relationship with really the nation of Israel as well as Israeli companies. We have a number of arrangements and collaborations with governmental agencies within Israel. And a
Hmm.
lot of Israeli companies come here because if you think about it, the nation of Israel is, from a population standpoint, about the size of Metro Atlanta. And so
Mm.
if there is something that, some product or software or whatever that's invented there, for them to scale it, they have to leave that area because that area is not really big enough for them to really scale. So, they need to
Sure.
go to Asia or Europe or North America. And we are a location that a lot of them have started to find even more appealing than your typical, oh, I go to the States and I go to Silicon Valley, or I go to Research Triangle, or I go to New York City. I mean, those are all great, but
Hmm.
you are a small fish in a very big, expensive pond.
Yeah.
And here you can actually be a smaller pond. It's not as expensive, and
Hmm.
just being the same size, you can be a bigger, in relation to others because that pond doesn't have so many big fish. And so we're seeing a lot of it. And
Hmm.
the local Israeli consulate wanted to ensure that we continue to have that synergy between us
Hmm.
and them. And we have great relationships with them. We'll continue to, and we look forward to fostering that relationship and getting more companies come through here.
Hmm.
And use Peachtree Corners either as a place to put down roots or as a launching pad. But we at least benefit from their involvement, however brief it may be.
Yeah, so many companies out there that so much representation from around the world here that we're going to be doing another feature piece, not in this coming issue, but the next, about the amount of the company, different companies we have that represent different countries here that are
Yeah,
based in Peachtree Corners. I think there's over 20 nations that
yeah.
are actually represented. So that'll be a neat piece to talk about. Um, let's get some, update on the playground. I say playground, but it's a little bit more involved than that. That's being built out at town center. Dirt's moving, everything's moving around there. Are we still on track for that to come in for May? I think it was May, end of May.
Yeah, we're still on track around the end of May for most of the playground equipment. What the supply chain issue is such that we may not have all the shade structures in for even as much as 2 months after that, unfortunately.
Okay.
Because we put seating around there as part of this because we knew parents were going to go over there and want to be close to their kids and
Right.
everything. And so we may not have all of the shade structures in, just again, supply chain.
Sure.
And you just run out of it, but we're still tracking on that. And so that's good. Our goal was to have it in so that the first concert of our series, which is the end of May,
Hmm.
doesn't still have that area to be a construction site. We're also, I don't know if you've been out there, we added a lot more decking under the current shade structures that are there on the other side of the town green.
I haven't
And
been. Yeah.
yeah, and we're going to add another shade structure as well there. So there's a lot more space for people to have furniture, and
Hmm.
we have a new fire pit out there. It's a little bit more
Right.
user friendly. Although I will say, Rico, unfortunately, we may end up having to talk about this again. But we have created a really cool place to hang out, and it's getting cooler by the day. It's just a great place to
Yeah.
whether to get something, and eat or drink or kids to play or just hang out. But as a result of it, we've got a lot of, destructive behavior that's happening out there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, we're getting ready to add over 80 cameras out into the parking deck in the town green area. And, we're having to do that. One, it's a good deterrent, but two, just a lot of people going in and destroying things randomly for no reason. And and it's sad. I mean, we have a new, much larger fire pit that had a lot of other, not only bigger, it was round, it was a place you kind of hang out, and yet
Hmm.
all we do is it's only been operational for probably 2 weeks, and have already had people pry open the door to try to get to the controls. They've been stealing the stones, the nice stones
Really?
that are in there. I mean, just stuff like that, and it's sad. And we're hoping we may have to talk to the community as a whole
Hmm.
and say, look, please help police yourselves and prevent a great location and amenity that's theirs. It's the communities, it's the public's,
Yeah.
but it's either lack of parental supervision or people just, I mean, I don't know. It's
I mean, it's
sad.
probably happening in the middle of the night too, right? Like 2 or 3 in the morning and stuff. Um,
Some of it, but then it's some of it it's not. I mean, we've
hmm.
had destructive behavior there, and again, even some of it's on surveillance, but either we don't have a great image of the person, or what is generally the case is you have video of a person,
Hmm.
but unless like one of us recognize that person,
Right.
there's no way for us to know who it is.
It's amazing.
You
Can't
know,
keep anything in the public realm without having to deal with that crap, quite frankly. It's just like, you would imagine that people are a little bit more respectful, but no, it's never going to be, and that's never going to be the case because there are people that are just not respectful of things. And they just want to do what they want to do.
I'll even go so far as this, where the playground area is, we're doing site work, we're doing grading and getting the terrain ready for when we bring in
Hmm.
the artificial, the artificial surfaces and everything. And so they will have, construction equipment out there, like
Yeah.
backhoes and, mini excavators inside of areas roped off with caution tape. But on
Hmm.
the weekend, you'll go out there and people have ripped down or inside of the caution tape, kids climbing around construction
Oh my
equipment,
God.
and their parents are right there, but they're letting them. We caught kids in the boom of the backhoe.
Yes.
They're climbing
Yes.
around on that, and their parents are
Yeah.
right there.
You know,
Like,
and not for anything. We don't teach, I shouldn't say we, but there are a lot of people just don't teach their kids what respect means in things. And they're all John Waynes and Yahoos sometimes saying, leave them alone. They need to play. And it's just like, and then there are those people that want safe places for their kids. It's just like, if we just taught a little respect, common respect and courtesy, that's all we need. It's just, it'll never end. And I'm not surprised, quite frankly, because tape's not going to hold anyone away. Just like, it's
No, I
just,
mean, yeah, you just point, you're like, really? Can you not see them? And you're underneath, you had to go underneath caution tape.
yes,
Or it was ripped down, it's laying on the ground, you're stepping over it,
no,
you know it's a construction site, and yet you're either in there yourself or you're letting your
yeah,
kids run
yes.
around that, and you're just like, but
You
yeah,
know what? And that same parent, God forbid a child gets hurt, the same parent will want to sue the city to say, that wasn't enough. You shouldn't have put just the tape there. You should have like put a cement wall to stop people from entering. It's just like, you know what? At some point, people have to take responsibility for themselves and their family.
yeah.
Um,
But
but
I guess the good thing here is town center is doing what we hope, which is attracting people,
yes,
and that's activity begets more activity and it makes
yeah,
restaurants and stores and everything healthier. So that's
yeah,
good, but we just need to, those of us who live and work and use that need to police ourselves and make sure that
yeah,
we keep it a nice amenity and not let it get beat down by destructive, irresponsible people.
yeah. Amazing, never ending. Um, well, I'm glad that we were able to talk about these things, especially about North American properties in the forum and that buyout. I know that there'll be more coming out. In fact,
Absolutely.
yeah, and we'll actually, my editor right now is going to be interviewing the owner of NAP by I think 4:30 late today. So we'll have an article out sometime in the next few days about that, a little bit more in depth, hopefully some more information that we can provide people with. And we're going to stay on top of this, that along with everything else that's going on in the city.
It's a big
So
deal. It's a big
yeah,
deal.
for sure. So I appreciate your time, Brian. Thank
Yep.
you for being with us again. I look forward to next time, everyone.
Same here.
Yeah, share this with your friends. If you're listening to the podcast on Apple or iHeartRadio, certainly, leave a review on this. Look for more additional information on livingin peachtree corners.com. You can either subscribe to our newsletter to find out more news that comes out. We come out once or twice a week, depending on what news is going on, or like us on Facebook at Peachtree Corners Life, or follow us on Instagram as well. Thank you for being with us.